has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast.
It's Ferrall Coast to Coast in the biggest way possible right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty. Go for the two. Joe Lisi joins me momentarily. A lot to do today, as always. We have a very busy night in the NBA. We've got some significant guys out of action tonight in the NBA as well that we'll get to. A couple of hockey games, last games before the All-Star break off to Toronto. All the stars go for this weekend. A ton of college basketball tonight and a few big upsets last night in college. It's Golf Wednesday on C2C. We'll do the picks, everything that you always want for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am that gets going tomorrow. Elevated event, only 80 spots. All the heavy hitters are out there at Pebble Beach. We start, as always, with the birthday roll call. Let's go. Dante DiVincenzo, 27 today. Last night, of course, with 9 threes for the Knicks. Dude went absolutely off. 27 for him. Jordan Leggett, 29. Cole Irvin is 30. Robert Whalen, 30. Tyler Sagan, 32. Jacob Markstrom, 34. Mario Williams, 39. Vernon Davis, 40. Can't play with him. Can't coach him. Unieski Betancourt, 42. Brad Thompson, 42. Buddy Rice, 48. Kennard Lang, 49. Othello Harrington, the big 5-0. To the back nine he goes. Lorenzo Styles, 50. Corey Holiday, 53. What else do we got here? Steve Phoenix, 56. Doug Peterson, 56. Nolan Ryan, double sevens today. 77 for Nolan Ryan. How about that? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. All right, we'll start things off today. We do have more coaching news in the NFL that's just come down in the past couple of hours, and that is the Seattle Seahawks have found their new head coach, Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald. He is going to be heading to the Pacific Northwest. That leaves us with only one remaining head coaching spot, which is the Washington Commanders. So Seattle goes from having the oldest coach in the NFL, in Pete Carroll, to now having the youngest head coach in the NFL, with Macdonald, who's 36. So we've seen some very young head coaching hirings here in this cycle. Mayo had become the youngest. Now Macdonald skips over him, and he is the youngest coach in the league. So we will talk about that. We will start, though, after Macdonald, with the NBA last night. Warriors beat the Sixers. Embiid gets hurt in the game. So Embiid missed a couple games before last night. There were some stories today that, maybe he felt like he was being forced back in. People obviously talking about this games played with the MVP. Well, Embiid didn't finish the game. Apparently a separate injury. So he got, fell on, I think it was Kuminga that fell on him there towards the end. And he gets hurt. He's got an MRI. We'll see what happens with Embiid going forward. But not a good scene for him. Celtics beat the Pacers by 5, way over the total, 129-124. Hawks and the Lakers also over, 138-122. We got a nice clip of LeBron today. He went, once again, not in a great mood, as the Lakers lose both nights of a back-to-back on the road in Houston and Atlanta. Tough scene for them, the 500 Lakers. Knicks beat the Jazz 118-103. They've won 8 in a row. They went 14-2 in the month of January. We mentioned DiVincenzo with the birthday. He hit 9 threes last night at the Garden. Even Tom Thibodeau is smiling. We have all of that today on C2C. Gabe Morency joins us, as always, in hour number 1, Sports Rage Late Night. We will dance with him in the middle segment. Also, all of tonight's action in the association, including the Clippers are in D.C. against the Wizards, Sacramento and Miami tonight. New Orleans is in Houston. Dallas is in Minnesota. No Luka, no Kyrie. Very big number for the Mavs. Denver's in OKC. No Joker for the Nuggets tonight in what was going to be a showdown of two of the top teams in the Western Conference. And it is return home night, you could say, in the NBA. Kevin Durant is back in Brooklyn, although you wouldn't know it if you were in the New York area. Nobody cares that Kevin Durant's back in Brooklyn. But the Suns are in Brooklyn tonight against the Nets. And Dame time returning to Portland late night as well. So we have a few of those things to discuss. We have Angelos family selling the Orioles. Good clip of Craig Mish this morning on the early line. We'll play for you here in hour number 1 as well on that. Hour 2 will start Golf Wednesdays on C2C. The PGA Tour and the Strategic Sports Group, which is basically a bunch of billionaire owners who got together and are now invested into PGA Tour golf. They started a for-profit organization. They're going to pump, it says $3 billion. Really, it's 1.5. And then it can extend to $3 billion into the game, which is all fine and good, but I'm just tired. You know, guys, I love golf. I love watching golf. We love betting on golf. We love talking about betting on golf. I'm tired of hearing about more money for these guys. That I'm tired of hearing about. You want to know what I want? Come to me when you can tell me that I can once again watch all the best players in the game on the same course every week. Not just at the majors, every week. Tell me when again I can watch Rory and Scotty Scheffler play against Brooks Koepka and Jon Rahm and Dustin Johnson on a weekly basis, not 4 times a year. Then I'll get excited about your press releases and all your money that you're going to be rolling in out there in the golf. Make it better for us to watch, too. Morikawa said something about that yesterday. Let people watch the game. Show more than like 2 shots an hour, and he's right about that. Rory's another guy. Changed his tune on all the live golf stuff. We'll play that clip as he can't figure out one. You don't know why Rory changed his mind about live golf? Because now all his buddies there from the Ryder Cup team, Rahm, the good guys, not the guys who he had been playing with, the guys who actually matter now, Rahm and Hatton, they're all over at live now. So now Rory has to shut his mouth about live. So that's why he changed his mind. So we'll have Cam with the outrights, the top 10s and 20s in the first round leader bombs. We have Davis Maddock with the lion's share in hour number 2 as well. He's got NBA plays for tonight. Mentioned that we have a very big night in college basketball. Big upsets last night, but there's big upsets all the time now in college basketball. What was it, 2 weeks ago? We saw 8 of the top 10 teams lose. Last night, Tennessee goes down at home to South Carolina. North Carolina goes down at Georgia Tech as they get ready for the Duke game on Saturday. Look ahead, as Haro told us on the radio last night. A look ahead for North Carolina in that Georgia Tech game. We got a clip of Bruce Pearl. Auburn's in action tonight against Vandy. We've got a bunch of games here. St. John's and Xavier, Baylor and UCF, Cincinnati, West Virginia, Florida and Kentucky, Providence and number 1 UConn. Very big night in college hoops. Then hour number 3, we'll finish Golf Wednesdays with Keith Stewart from Read the Line. He's with us every weekend. This week he is at Pebble Beach getting ready for the AT&T Pro-Am. We'll get all of his plays. Patrick Mahomes then will get into the football on playing in his 4th Super Bowl. We've got lots of numbers for you today on Super Bowl 58. Mahomes indoors. The Niners are wearing white. There's a big trend with that. Player props, most bet player props. And just for Joe today, because this is, I believe, the last time me and Joe will be together on Coast to Coast until the Super Bowl next week. I got the Gatorade numbers for Joe. I mean, this guy, he loves the Gatorade numbers. We'll give them to Joe today. And we have a couple hockey games tonight. We got Jerry Jones talking about the Cowboys going all in. Bo Nix is at the Senior Bowl for Joe. It's all happening. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver, I, and Joe for Scotty. We'll bring him in next. SportsGrid Radio. We get it rolling right after this.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the rack. It was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you can talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like OKC just rolling into Detroit going, yeah, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. only on SportsGrid.
The Chiefs end up winning outright as a 4.5-point underdog at kickoff last week. They're headed back to the Super Bowl yet again. They were phenomenal, Vinny, in the first half, and they were phenomenal against Miami in the first half, too.
A lot of motivated players, and look, you got to hand it to them. Youthful players playing in a great system by Spagnuolo, and we know how great of a big game coordinator Steve Spagnuolo is.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I can tell you, like, Las Vegas is heavy San Francisco territory. All right, there are a ton of Niner fans, man, in Las Vegas and in Nevada, and specifically Reno. Reno's close, obviously, right? So, like, Reno's numbers will be a little bit different, but the total of 47.5. I get it.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman
The
Trophy
early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks, backup
Ferrall
quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live. Prime time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was good
Late
betting.
Night.
We waited for a 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like a 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Time to turn talk into action. Step 1, fire up your BetMGM Sportsbook. Step 2, make your pick. And Step 3, showtime. Now that hunch has some weight to it. Every play, every game means something more. Because now, you're betting with the king of sportsbooks.
And we're back. Ferrall coast to coast on a Wednesday. Yes, Carver High in for Scotty. We'll get Joe in here in a moment, but of course we have to let you know BetMGM has you ready to go. Big Game 58 is now right around the corner. We know who's going to be there, Kansas City and San Francisco. Well, here's what BetMGM has for you. How about betting $5 and getting $158 instantly? Are you kidding me? Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $5 into your newly created account. That's for new customers here. Place a wager in the amount of at least $5 at standard odds price. Once you have placed a bet, you will receive $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. You got to use bonus code SG158. BetMGM has you set up. Big Game 58, bet 5, get 158 instantly. Go and get involved. All right, every Tuesday and Wednesday on C2C, we have the extended version of the very popular SportsGrid radio show, Carver and Lisi, which airs weeknights at 8 p.m. East. That, of course, is with myself and the encyclopedia of college football, now kind of bleeding into college basketball as well. That is the one, the only. Go for the two, Joe Lisi. Hi, Joe. How you doing?
Hi, Carver. Got smashed. Texas Tech loser last night.
That's why I couldn't go back to college basketball.
I told you.
Last night.
I told you the under in Golden State and Philly, dead under last night. I was on the under. Took Embiid under 37.5. Did he show up last night? What did he have? 7 points by fourth quarter. Dead under.
We're going to get to him in a moment.
He's banged up a little bit. I know. I get it. I understand.
Well, it sounds like he probably shouldn't have even played, Joe, to be quite fair. But we'll get to him in a moment. That's for sure. Yeah, you got a little banged around last night when it came. Even the system plays, Joe, were 0-2. Kansas State and Villanova
And the one
they
time
got,
I didn't
they got
fade the
racked.
system plays, probably should have been the night that I should have, and I didn't do it.
Right. You didn't do it. You've been getting all over me. You stayed away, and now you see what happens, Joe. That's how it goes. Before I get into it, I was going to start with NBA today because obviously it was a lot going on last night, and it's a very busy night tonight. We have a lot of games, but it always seems, Joe, that we get, especially this week during the bye week of the Super Bowl, you get all the coaching information. Everybody's trying to get themselves all in order now. The bye week's a pretty good time to do it. There's only 2 teams left. Most of the coaches are getting plucked. With the Ravens losing, that opened the door for Seattle, Joe, to go and find who it is that they wanted, and that was Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald, who is now going to be the head coach there. So what a change, Joe, right? Seattle goes from having the oldest head coach in the NFL in Pete Carroll to now they will completely go to the other end of the spectrum and have the youngest head coach in the NFL with Macdonald. Your thoughts, Joe?
It's not a bad hire because Seattle, from a defensive perspective, does have concerns. That is the weakness of this team. But the concern for Macdonald is what can he get out of the offense? I mean, if Pete Carroll and that team struggled for only 9 wins last year, can Macdonald take them past that? Because Pete Carroll is a great game planner, right? And he related to the younger players, even though he was an older guy. Can Macdonald do that? Or is this going to look like a situation where Arizona with Gannon, they played hard, they covered games, but they just didn't win a lot. So that is going to be a concern, I think. I think when you go up against San Francisco and even now a resurgence with the LA Rams and Sean McVay, maybe the third best team in the conference, record-wise certainly, but what do you get with a first-year coach?
Right, and of course you got some changes in philosophy, as you just said. I think that when you're especially a young first-time coach, and he will be the youngest coach, as I just said, I think that calls for, Joe, maybe a veteran or an offensive coordinator who's been around a while, some stability, somebody who's seen it in the league. Now, it's a young man's game now, right? Look at how many younger head coaches we're going with around the league. But you would like to think that maybe that's the way they're going to look, potentially, in terms of maybe finding an offensive side of the ball. Because this guy, listen, his defense is great in Baltimore this year, but you're right. You need to have somebody with you from the offensive perspective that's going to be able to get it done.
Yeah, look at all the talent that they have there. Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I mean, the talent is there. This isn't Arizona with Gannon, where it's a complete rebuild. This is like, okay, you're 9-8. He's got to get them now to find a way to get them to like 12-5, because the Rams are back now with Kyron Williams, Stafford being healthy. Look at that talent. They're clearly the second best team heading into next season. So Seattle has to compete with that. They lost both games to them this year.
Lost both games to them. And look, I also think this is a good spot for Seattle, Joe, you like to attach the new young quarterback with a new young coach. Lots of quarterbacks available in the first round of this draft. Seattle maybe move up a little bit, get themselves one of these guys. It feels like that's also a nice thing that they maybe would be able to do to kind of lock in a young quarterback with him to start anew. Because Geno, great job 2 years ago. I don't think Geno was as good this year, Joe. And I'm not sure, I would probably, if you're starting with a good young coach, I would probably go, everybody's a Pro Bowler. As Maz says, he's a Pro Bowler. Who isn't this year? But I think, Joe, that's the way that I would go if I was them too. Get themselves a nice young quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a few around in terms of, is it Bo Nix, Bodacious in Seattle? Could Bodacious be there?
Maybe Penix. Keep him in the Seattle area. How about that?
That would be pretty good. That would be, I tell you why, you have the type of wide receivers that he had at Washington. In terms of the big three, you have that now in regards to Seattle. I mean, DK Metcalf should be at least a 1,200-yard receiver each and every season. Size, speed, you got to feed him the rock. That's the problem. What is the offensive identity? You just hope with a defensive-minded coach that we don't go the Vic Fangio route and how some of these other defensive coordinators have gone since they become head coaches.
We're going to run it 3 yards in the cloud of dust. We're going to play. Why win games 38-10 when you can lose them 13-10, right, Joe? We're going to play those games. What?
Yeah, trying to turn a block of rock into granite and marble. You know, the Vic Fangio. We're gonna run it like
We're gonna run
you
it.
got a boulder there. It's 3rd and 36. You're trailing by 42. 8 minutes out, run it. Establish the run.
We will absolutely do that. All right, Joe. We spent a lot of time on that, so we'll wait till after Gabe to get started with the NBA. Of course, Warriors did win last night. You were right, a dead under in that game. You had the Celtics and Pacers a dead over. You had the Hawks and the Lakers a dead over. I mean, those games flew past the total. You had DiVincenzo with 9 threes last night for the Knicks. Raptors ended up beating the Bulls. So we'll go through a lot of that stuff, Joe, when we come back. And there's a ton of games tonight. I'm wondering if there's already sizzle plays on the mind for Joe with the NBA slate tonight. No Joker for Denver either, Joe. Looks like he's going to be out.
Yeah, so we'll see how they play it tonight. That means what? Who do we go on? Jamal Murray, is he in?
Jamal Murray will be in, Joe. Joker's going to be out, but Jamal Murray will be there, I am sure.
46
all right,
shots.
Ferrall. Yes. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty. We will come back. We've got Gabe Morency next, Sports Rage Late Night. And then me and Joe will get into all of the NBA. We also have Golf Wednesday today, Pebble Beach. Couple of guests on that. We will give you all the picks. Joe's got a long shot, I'm sure, as well, for Pebble Beach this week. He always does. Long shots have been very good. All right, we're back coast to coast right after this. Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
for
did.
information. Did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Of course, every day we have Gabe Morency with a Sports Rage late night, weeknights, 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid. Gabe, good to see you as always. We got a lot to do today. There's a ton of NBA games tonight. We got our last hockey games before the All-Star break. A few things. One thing from last night that I want to get. It's Embiid stuff. I've seen a lot of people on this today with the games played, the MVP. He pushed himself too hard. He shouldn't have played last night. He was under pressure from all the people in his ear that he's got to keep playing so he stays in the MVP race. I mean, they tried to say it's a separate injury when the guy fell on him. But he didn't look good even before that game. Like, he wasn't even playing at his normal self even before the guy fell on him at the end of the game. I think you're going to miss him for a while now. Probably won't have Embiid for a little bit of a hole here.
This is the problem with Joel Embiid. He's a great basketball player, but durability is a problem, just point blank, right? And, every time we get to the playoffs as well, he's never 100%. He's always walking back up the floor. And I'm not calling him out. It is what it is. But at the same point in time, this is why I can never fully buy into the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't. I wouldn't care if the Sixers were 50-5 or something. Like, it wouldn't matter to me. So, like, when he dropped 70 against the Spurs and all this, and I'm a big Maxey fan as well. But and Nick Nurse is a great coach. And I think, they're a good basketball team. He's a great basketball player, but he just can't stay healthy. And to me, he's more about the MVPs than the Larry Obies, bro. Right? It just is. And as far as all this talk about the 65 games, and I love Halliburton. I see Halliburton saying it's a stupid, he didn't use that word. So, look, what do you guys want? You want to play 40 games and win MVP? Like, what part of, like, the modern NBA, bro? I saw a stat this morning, Carver, and I responded to it. It was StatMuse. And, all right, it was cute, whatever. It was Luka's sixth season, 33.7. Michael Jordan's sixth season, 33.7. And it was side-by-side comparisons of their stats. And they were like mirror images of each other. Yeah, the only difference is one of them played defense. And, oh, yeah, by the way, when Michael Jordan was doing this, there was like 184 points scored in the game, Carver. Now, there's 280 points scored. Like, these numbers mean nothing. Like, and it pains me to say this because I love the NBA. I really do. I liked a lot of guys in the NBA. I like the shoes. I like betting on it. I like the NBA culture. I like the league. I've been to All-Star games and paid money. Oh, I want to go see Kobe and LeBron live and all this. I've done it. It's almost unwatchable. Like, and point blank, like, I sort of alternate on a year-by-year basis, Carver, you know what I mean? Sometimes I'll watch more college basketball in the wintertime. Sometimes I'm really into the NBA, man. You know what I mean? This year, bro, I've been watching hockey. NHL hockey. It's more entertaining. Like, the NBA, I don't care, bro. Karl Anthony Towns scored 62 points. His plus-minus, Carver, was 0.
Yeah. It's true.
Right? What impact did you have on the game, Kat? You dropped 62. You were plus-minus -0 somehow.
It's a tough regular season product. It just is. It's a very tough product to watch over 82 games from the end of October to the beginning of April. It's very hard because, Gabe, by now, I mean, look, there's a couple spots. I know that now that they added these play-in games, more teams are in it, but you know who the best teams are going to be. Like in the East, it's going to be Boston, Milwaukee.
That's the problem with the NBA as well, Carver.
That too.
That there's really, we all know. And the thing is, that's not a modern thing, though. And you and I are old enough. I remember, bro, and I'll be the first to admit it. As much as I love Michael Jordan, I used to get sick of it, too. I was like, for the love of God, can anybody beat this guy? Like, seriously? Aren't you tired of him? It's almost like Mahomes. Aren't you tired of him, like, doing his fist pump in your face after? Can't you beat him?
Yeah.
But if you look at the NBA, it's always been a limited league, Carver. Off the top of my head, dude. Literally, there's like 13 franchises that have won titles.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
It's true.
Like, dude, I remember when the Raptors won the championship in 19, they were like the 12th franchise only to win. You're like, what?
I know.
And no, if you actually think of the NBA, Lakers have won, like the Celtics dominant. Russell, Bill Russell, Red Auerbach. Boom, they own the 50s. Boom, like 60s. They own the 60s. 70s. Lakers come on. Lakers, Celtics own the league.
Lakers,
Spurs
Celtics.
own the league. Tim Duncan, Popovich. How many rings does he have? LeBron James comes in. Golden State. Dude, the Golden State Warriors, LeBron James and Curry, it was like the finals every year for 10 years. One
4
was
years in a row. You know
what I'm saying?
It's true.
Like, the NHL,
Kobe
that's
and
the fun
Shaq,
thing, Carver.
early 2000s,
If I asked you
Kobe,
right now,
Shaq, it's just, yeah.
who's in the Stanley Cup Finals, we'll be like, oh, I don't know,
Couldn't
man.
even
That's
tell you.
tough.
No
You'll
shot.
be like, oh, that's tough,
No
man.
shot.
I don't know, right? You don't know.
No shot. No shot. And I know people say, well, the Heat made it last year. Look, that is a rarity, what the Heat did last year, getting to the NBA Finals. That does not happen normally in the NBA. So we have a tough night then tonight, Gabe. There's a lot of NBA games tonight. And at least we know early in the day, a lot of these guys aren't playing. Joker out for Denver. They're playing OKC. Luka out for Dallas. They're playing Minnesota. There's a lot of guys not in action tonight and a lot of games.
You know, so let's sort of isolate the games, the ones that guys are playing or the sort of games of the night. And obviously, I think Phoenix. Phoenix are hot right now. Phoenix are playing good basketball. I didn't understand the number. How about South Carolina last night, Carver? 14-point underdogs beat Tennessee outright,
next.
bro.
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that next.
The Phoenix Suns, I didn't understand the point spread the other night. The Miami Heat are not a good team, bro. You just talked about making the finals. Like, the Heat are struggling right now. They were laying 3. I like Phoenix. Here's another spot. Phoenix are playing good ball. They're not going to want to take the pedal off the metal. And this is no revenge spot. There's no reason to boo them. There's no reason to honor them, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? I like what Durant said. He goes, for what? What would there be a video tribute for? He goes, I was there 4 years and we sucked. We didn't accomplish anything. And he goes, I wouldn't give me a tribute. Like, so Durant's not looking for love. He's not coming back with any hate. So I'm not saying this, but it is still Brooklyn. It is still New York. They're still hot right now. Phoenix aren't going to want to let this up here. So I do like the Suns tonight in this game. You know, the Spurs are starting to play competitive basketball right now as well. Getting 5.5. Orlando's a better team than they are, obviously. But they shouldn't be laying 6 on the road in this spot. And I'm fascinated by this Pelicans and Rockets game. This Rocket team might be a little better than their record, Carver. They're not an easy team to deal with, the Rockets. I know they're 22-24, but they don't blow this team. It's going to be a fun game tonight against the Pelicans. I'm going to roll the dice with the Rockets here.
I can assure you, being in New York, Gabe, that nobody knows or cares that Kevin Durant is returning to Brooklyn tonight. Nobody knows or cares that that's happening.
The Brooklyn Nets should be playing in the Prudential Center.
Going to Portland, that's a big deal. Lillard going back to Portland tonight, that's a big deal on that end of things. But not KD.
And they're like 10.5.
Nobody. Yeah.
So you play his player prop?
It's going to be, it's going to be probably heavily juiced up.
I gave 26.5.
Oh, okay, because he hasn't been playing well. So that's kind of like the I go for the threes tonight. I'll play him for 5, 6 threes. I'll ult the threes. Maybe he'll go nuts and take 1 billion threes tonight. That's probably where I would want to be with Lillard. College, you're right. South Carolina outright at Tennessee last night. You could never trust Tennessee. It's not even March yet, and you can't trust Tennessee. You had North Carolina losing as well. Lots of these big teams go down now, Gabe, because NIL and transfer portal, we always talk about college football. It matters in college basketball, too. Anybody can really beat anybody any night in these big conferences.
I think college basketball as well is that the season is long. And we as bettors, these are big games. Like, people are like, I can't believe Arizona lost Oregon State. Do you really think that they care that they lost Oregon State? Like, do you think that, you know what I mean? Like, the coach will be like, I didn't like how we defended something, but, like, and if this one happens, you get the regular season, then you get these stupid conference tournaments that don't mean jack squat for anything but money. So then you get the conference tournament where you want to get up for that, and then you want to get up again for March Madness. And smart coaches, the big-time coaches, the big-time schools guys, and you're seeing a lot of them not cover and lose outright and stuff. I heard Nick Saban say this, Carver. A reporter once had all access to, like, Alabama 1 week type thing. You know what I mean? Behind the scenes at practice. And the dude was shocked at the Alabama practice. Like, the players were running to practice. There was, like, music cranking. And he was like, I never pictured Saban, like, that the practice would be so loose. And he asked Saban about it. And Saban said, listen, it's a long season. And he goes, I can't be a drill sergeant every week with these kids. He goes, I pick my spots before big games, and we dial it in. We turn the music off, and we dial it in. And he kind of basically goes, we're 42-point favorites this week, man. He goes, let them have some fun. Because he basically said, don't worry, I'm going to be on him enough at other times. I don't need to be on him now. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm going with this is. Is Bill Self going to, like, tear Kansas a new one after? No. Yeah. He's going to think, all right, it's got to get these guys ready for March. That's all that matters. March. So where I'm going with this tonight, give me the underdog. Give me the Georgia Bulldogs, the SEC dog of the night tonight.
I like them too.
SEC Bulldogs, plus 6.5 against Alabama. I like that game. And this is a tough one to actually take because Baylor are good, but Central Florida have been balling, bro. Very good home underdog. Central Florida getting 4 against Baylor tonight. I do like the NHL, and I've been on fire the NHL last week. I'm like the Oilers. I wish we weren't coming to an end. Give me the Detroit Red Wings tonight, minus 115 against the Senators. Give me the Predators and the Kings, under 6. Predators plus 100. How the hell can the Kings be favored against anybody? And we were on the Ducks last night, but I don't the Sharks last night. I don't want to take the Ducks, but let's go under 6.
Yep, I'm with you. Last 3 games before the All-Star break, Gabe, they all head to Toronto this weekend to that place for all the lap dances. They'll be there also. We'll see you tonight. Sports Rage Late Night. Take care. Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman
The
Trophy
early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall
backup quarterbacks.
Coast to Coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back for Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty. SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. All right, Joe. NBA, me and Gabe were just hitting on a little bit of this. Quickly, some things from last night. Warriors did beat the Sixers. Nice job by you with the dead under, 119-107. A big reason why that game stayed under was Embiid was not himself. Even before this happened, Joe, and he left the game, he really... he was laboring out there. There's no question about it. Here he is. He gets hurt. This is a Curry bucket late in the fourth quarter as the Warriors are pulling away. Embiid would be finished after this, Joe, on TNT.
Hits the floor, trying to save it. Ball knocked around. Curry, he's got the angle and the bucket. And Embiid is down. Joel Embiid is down on the ground.
Now, they say, Joe, separate injury from what he had missed a few games before. But even before that, he had 14 points in 30 minutes, Joe, which, as you know, us watching these games every night, that ain't a normal Joel Embiid performance by any stretch. So I think maybe there was a little bit too. He's pushing himself. He's hearing all the chatter about the amount of games played for the dopey MVP. So he probably pushed himself a little bit. And unfortunately, we haven't gotten a word yet on if there's any kind of significant injury or how long he's going to be out. But my guess is, Joe, now he's going to miss even more games.
Well, it's like me, Carver. When you're a little banged up and you push through it, sometimes you overcompensate and hurt yourself in other ways. You gotta figure it out. But you're right, because his total last night was 37.5. He opened at 36.5, and I think people thought because he was in the lineup, he's just going to come back and put in 40 a night. Not the case last night. You're right. He did struggle a little bit early on. The game flow was very low scoring early on. And then he gets hurt now with another injury. Forget the MVP. They need Joel Embiid obviously out there to win the East. The East. I mean, that's the biggest picture. Forget the offseason and the after the season, trophies. We're playing for a championship and an NBA title. They need him throughout the stretch run of the playoffs, or they got no shot to go anywhere, Carver. They're not going to challenge Boston or even the way the Knicks are playing right now without him.
I said to you yesterday, I thought that if they played the Knicks in a 7-game series right now, that the Knicks would beat them. Just the way
if he's not in there, I would agree with you.
Well,
if he's not going to be,
look, if he's scoring 40 points a game, look, that's obviously he's 100%. Yeah, I mean it's a different story, but he's never 100% by the time you get to April. He ain't 100% now, and we're just about to turn the calendar over to February. Here it is, Joe. So with him now getting hurt last night, and we already did all the nonsense yesterday with how many games left he has before he's not even eligible for this anymore. He slipped down to 15-1 at BetMGM to win the MVP. He was the favorite like a week ago, and now he's 15-1 on that list. Joker minus 125, SGA 3-1, Luka 5-1, Giannis 7-1, and then you get Embiid. In fact, Joe, I've seen other houses where they don't even have him on the board anymore. They've taken him off. Obviously, maybe just waiting to see what kind of announcement happens, possibly with if he's going to be out an extended period of time, etc.
Well, I mean, I told you the one player on that list that I would go to because he's hot and he's another recognizable name. And that's not to take away from SGA, but Luka at 5-1. We talked about it last week when he was 10-1. You put in 73 points and 40-something back-to-back, all of a sudden you're in the mix, and the NBA loves giving it to recognizable names, and that's not a knock on SGA, but as well as anybody, who do people know?
I don't disagree with you.
If you went down the street and then surveyed 100 people, maybe 50 know Luka, 10 know SGA if you're lucky.
I don't disagree with that, and I think you're right. I think sometimes it does come down to a bit of a, listen, you got to be great and have a great season, but there's also the factor of popularity contest. And there's names that get put in that conversation and others don't. And he's up there on the odds board now. But you're right. If it's a close call, sometimes the more recognizable name, they do tend to lean to that, especially some of these writers that vote for that award. Celtics beat the Pacers 129-124. Halliburton was back for the Pacers. Didn't play the fourth quarter, though, Joe. Limited minutes for Halliburton, and it showed in the fourth. They ended up losing by 5. Hawks beat the Lakers 138-122. LeBron did play, Joe. Second night of a back-to-back. Lakers really had nothing going on. I mean, Russell did nothing. He destroyed me. You know, of course, the guy was scoring like 25, 30 points a night. I go and back D'Angelo Russell, and he has 9 points last night. So that's kind of just the way things always go for us. Here's LeBron afterwards, though, Joe. Look, kind of telling it like it is. I mean, we're just a 500 team. Here's LeBron.
We could, on any given night, beat any team in the NBA. And then on any given night, we get our ass kicked by any team in the NBA.
Yeah, but he's happy with that, obviously, right? He's happy with that?
What's our record?
One game under 500 is what we've seen.
Under 500?
One game under 500.
Yeah, what, 24, 25? That's where we are.
Yeah,
That's
he's
where we
happy
are.
with that.
I mean, I don't know if he's happy about it, Joe.
Yeah, he's happy. You know why? You know why he's happy? Because the good news is that they hoisted the trophy of the midseason tournament in the Raptors. That's why he got the tourney. That's it. He got the hardware he wanted.
Matters,
That's
Joe.
what it is.
I don't think that makes a difference.
Carver, I'm serious. Look, there's certain players that he's still great and he's still play, but the team aspect of it is not there anymore. I mean, let's be honest. Because if it was and they cared so much, they wouldn't be taking so many load management days. I mean, him and AD are the team. You know that without LeBron and without AD in the lineup, what are they? They're a 500 club. When they're both playing and they're both intense and obviously focused to win ball games, they have a shot to beat anybody. But when AD's getting 6 rebounds a game and he's loafing down the court, well, that's a problem.
Now, he put out, everybody's been going on about this all day today. He put out a very cryptic tweet in the middle of the night. It was like 2:30 in the morning. Of all it was that LeBron posted was like an hourglass, like people saying it time, whatever that means. There's no words, just an hourglass. What is he saying, Joe? Does he? Well, I mean, would they trade him? If you're LeBron, do you want? I mean, what? You're still playing at 39 years old, and you were in this for 20 years. And isn't the goal at this point to try to win as many titles as you can before you're done? No. You say no. It's about getting Bronny to play with him in L.A. That's all that matters.
It's the brand. It's at this point.
Brand.
It's brand. The brand.
So
that's
why the hourglass tweet? What's the time thing? What is that?
Because it makes for a good TikTok. He probably got 1 million, 2 million views on it, and every time he tweets, he gets 150K. I mean,
makes
it's
a good TikTok.
Makes a good TikTok, Father Time, like sands in the hourglass. So is LeBron's beard. I mean, it's the same thing. You know that. Why do you really think, seriously, and this is where we get into the argument of, Jordan and LeBron. Jordan was undefeated in regards to championships, 6-0. LeBron, he's excited that they put the midseason tournament in the Raptors. I mean, come on. You said it too.
Excited.
Yeah, he's excited. He's probably talking about it.
No, I don't think he cares that I think he was excited that he knows that 20 years from now they're going to probably name that Dopey Award after him, or 10 years from now, if they're still having the in-season tournament, it's going to be the LeBron James Award.
Does he care if the Lakers limp and they don't make the playoffs this year? Do you think he really cares?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure, Joe. I think he probably does. I think he wants to win. Isn't he one of the top competitors? Isn't he? I mean, come on.
If you can't definably answer that, that's the problem with the whole league. And I'm sorry. Yes, we gamble on it.
Well, that is the problem with the whole league.
That is the problem. We're not sure.
It is the problem with the whole league.
We're not sure. Well, if I get 70 but the team loses, it doesn't matter because it makes for a great TikTok. If I have a great jam, but the guy that I defended on that night, scored 65 on my ass,
If
it's
he's
okay
still
because
playing,
I got
like,
a great
if
name.
that's the case, then Joe, he don't need. What is he still playing for then? Like,
Because it's money.
He's done everything. He's done everything.
Carver,
if you're still hanging around here, isn't it to win another title? Isn't that why we're still hanging around at this point after 20 years?
It's because you could still put in 25 and 10 and 6 and collect $50 million a year. That's what it comes down to.
I'm sure that helps. That definitely helps. I'm sure it helps.
$50 million, yeah, a little kick in the ass there. Come on.
One more from last night, Joe. The Knicks beat the Jazz at the Garden. They finish off a 14-2 January. They've won 8 games in a row. And last night, I didn't even know this till today, till we started the show. Today is DiVincenzo's birthday. Last night, he was on fire, a personal career high with 9 threes on MSG.
Hart spinning. Back to DiVincenzo. Three-pointer. There's a career high for Dante DiVincenzo. His 8th three-pointer of the night.
That was a lot of threes for back then.
Yes, that was like, you kidding me? DiVincenzo again. Another three-pointer.
Another three-pointer.
Hey,
not when I back him.
I know.
Not when I back
Total
him.
pig. It really is incredible. The day after, the game after, you're on this guy. What'd you have him for 5 threes that night?
This was last week. I actually quit him a week or two ago. I couldn't play him anymore. But now since Randall went out the other day, he's got a couple. He's on fire now.
See, after he made one, he had the dab with the fingers too, like showing it up. You can't wait. All these guys.
Knicks, of course, on a hot streak, Joe. They're playing great, so that means we must have a very happy Tom Thibodeau, right? The Knicks now 3rd in the Eastern Conference. They passed the Sixers last night. Let's hear from Tibbs.
Yeah, I mean, Dante's playing great basketball, and, you can't say enough about, what Josh Hart has, triple-double. You're getting really quality play out of a lot of people. Jalen was Jalen. Isaiah looked like he got his some rhythm back, and that's huge for us. Thought Precious was phenomenal. And we're finding out a lot about him playing 2 positions. I thought Jericho gave us some really good minutes early. Deuce gave us really good minutes in the first half. So those are pluses. And Quentin he took a shot, but he came back and he's playing well for us as well. I think both sides of the ball, very aggressive, and I like to see that from him.
Everybody's playing well. Josh Hart's another one, Joe. Thank you, Tibbs, for reminding me of that. The other night in Charlotte, the first night, what was that, Tuesday night, Joe? Played him plus 250 for the double-double. Just wanted a double-double. And he finished with 9 boards and 8 points. Or 11 boards and 8 points. He was short on the points. So last night, of course, I'm like, back-to-back. I'm sure he's not going to get as many minutes. Guy's a triple-double. Couldn't get me the double-double the night before in Charlotte. Then he gets the triple-double last night. Frustrating, Joe. Very frustrating.
Everybody playing so good. They're just so good.
Listen to Joe.
Everybody so good. Just wait until they play the Heat in the playoffs.
Wait till they play the Heat. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty. SportsGrid Radio. We will come back. We have a lot more to do here on the grid. We're back right after this. Thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a beautiful time. NBA players are going wild. If I had to guess, a lot of people are going to get real angry. No defense, no defense, no defense. See, I want people to understand this, okay? Because we're always honest. When I take that big pause, that means we're thinking about betting big.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman
The
Trophy
early
race
line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the fourth inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
better.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like a 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty. Great to have you with us. So big news in baseball last night. The Baltimore Orioles are going to get sold. The Angelos family, of course, Peter bought the team back in the early 90s. His son John running it now. Reportedly selling $1.75 billion to a group led by David Rubenstein. A whole bunch of others are involved there as well. Of course, who do we need to hear from on something like this? Our man Craig Mitch, who was with Kevin and Donnie on the early line this morning. Let's hear him.
I had heard rumors of this a couple of weeks ago, so it didn't really catch me by surprise. I guess the sales figure is one that's a little bit staggering, and it does show you that's when the owners in Major League Baseball are able to significantly make money. Listen, you can talk about how much they're making during the season on the TV deals and things of that nature based on ticket sales. None of the owners really open up the books, so you really don't know. But here's what we know is once the team is sold, that's when all the money comes in. So all the owners of baseball who own their team, once they sell, that's when you can expect it. And it's not tangible, I guess, at the time. It's just under the assumption that eventually you're going to get that 1.2, 1.3. And in this case, it'll be the highest ever at 1.75. But guys, we can get into it here a little bit on the Orioles' point of view because there's going to be some speculation as to how they're going to proceed forward, without a doubt.
So Angelos bought the team, Joe, in 1993 for $173 million. Not bad. Now $1.7 billion. That's a pretty good return, Joe, I would say.
Yeah, 1.6 bill. But, I mean, we talked about it last night in regards to some of these other franchises. That's a cheap number. I mean, it's a cheap number. Dallas is worth maybe $10 billion.
Well,
Yankees
that's NFL. That's different. That's different.
All right,
well, Yankees are
what
different.
are the Yankees? All right, Dodgers too. All right, so they give
Dodgers
me.
and Yankees are in the $4 to $6 billion range.
What do you think the Red Sox?
Probably a little bit more than 1.7, I would say. They're probably in the 3s or 4s.
Okay.
So I get you, Joe. Coast to Coast, we're back. Hour 2 next right after this.